Real life.
Superpowers.
I can tell you that the first year as investors, again, was tough because it's like, you have great founders. They're going to hit a wall. You see the wall. You tell them there's a wall. You tell them that there's a way to go around it. Some of them don't listen to you. And it's like sitting in a car next to a driver and you can't put your hands on the wheel.
Hey everyone, welcome to Real Life Superpowers. I'm Noah Eshed, here with my co-host Ronen Manipaz. Our guest today is Avichay Nissenbaum, a serial entrepreneur turned investor and founding partner of Lool Ventures. Avichay's story is one of turning personal experience into collective impact. After building and selling two successful startups, SmarTeam, acquired by Dassault Systèmes, and Yedda, acquired by AOL, he decided to help others do the same. Today, through Lool Ventures, he's backing early-stage founders who use technology to create real change. The fund has invested over $100 million in startups like Beewise, NoTraffic, and Eleos Health, actually helping shape Israel's startup ecosystem in the process. Let's dive into the mindset behind spotting potential, building lasting companies, and investing in ideas and the people behind them.
Real life.
Superpowers.
Up in the sky, it's a bird. It's a plane.
Gentlemen, we can rebuild him. We have the technology.
It's alive!
Real life.
Superpowers.
Avichai, welcome to Real Life Superpowers.
Hey, I'm very excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
What are you busy with these days?
A lot of stuff. As VCs, you see a lot of companies throughout the day. You work with your portfolio companies. A lot of action for sure.
Are there any exciting deals that you did lately?
Absolutely. We just did actually 3 deals in August, midsummer. So we're seeing a very big spike of new innovations coming in post-crisis in Israel, obviously. We've done 3 deals. One company is called Lizo AI, which is doing AI for property tech, an operating system for real estate investors with very strong AI-based prediction engines. The second one is called SpeakCare, which is helping nurses document all the work they're doing. There's a lot of burnout in the US, the lack of nurses. Nurses have to spend another hour at least, if not more, after an 8-hour shift just to sit down and document everything they did. Oh, wow. It's really painful because they lose about 15% of their potential revenue because they're not billing what they're supposed to bill. And it's a technology that uses AI to summarize, document everything they did, all the measurements, all the procedures they did, and automatically connects to the record management. So it's a task management for the nurse, plus it's a documentation engine for the nurse. SpeakCare, that's the name of the company. And last but not least, we invested in a company called ZeroPort, which is a very exciting cyber-based cyber company. Doing infrastructure-related security, government-level security for infrastructure-related businesses like a water company, electrical company, governments, big companies that need to allow their employees to have remote access in a very secure way to data.
So that I think that gave us a representation that basically you are investing in people and not in specific industries.
That's right. We're generalists. As it's called. We are fortunate to see between 400 to 800 companies a year in our deal flow, which is a lot, obviously. Not everybody we meet or go through the full process, obviously. There's a filtering process. But this allows us to see all the waves coming at us. The biggest wave ever, as we all know, in the recent couple of years, and is going to continue in the next few years, is AI. I had a keynote speech in an international investor conference, and the title of that speech was The Biggest Shift of Wealth of Our Generation, AI. And then my underlying messages were, first, it's big. Let's not argue if it's bigger than the internet, bigger than mobile, bigger than cloud. These are all platforms, by the way, that evolved over the last 20 years. Remember, We didn't have smartphone 15 years ago, and look at what that did to the economy. So it's big, which means you need to invest and be part of the biggest shift of wealth. The problem is that it's moving at the speed of light, which I've been doing tech for 20, 25 years, both as an entrepreneur and an investor. Haven't seen technology move such fast. So the notion is that when we look at this, we analyze the market. Right now, we focus on what we call AI native companies and AI resilient companies. Now, what's that? That sounds odd, right? AI resilient companies are deep tech companies. Let me explain that. So in other words, AI native companies are companies that are built to first on the AI next generation platform. They're built for that environment. It's not people that took something they had and just slammed a few buzzwords like AI on their deck and now they're doing AI, or they're wrapping some AI prompts around something which enables that technology to do things faster, better, whatever. It's people that are thinking AI first, okay? Companies like Eleos Health, for instance, which is a native AI company, very successful one, helping psychologists to, again, document the treatment, analyze the patient progress, billing, auditing, et cetera, et cetera.
I'm sorry, Avichay, I have a question for you. So first of all, I just wanted to say about the AI before you continue. So there's something that you don't know. In 2010, one of your companies were acquired by my brother, who was the CEO of eBay then. So the gift projects that you were advisory about. And when I was looking through, so before we go deep down in the AI, I want to see, so you're from like 98 in the business of venture, like afterwards AOL, and then like you have, anyone who goes through his LinkedIn, by the way, has about, his experience about 3,700 companies going through that. And I'm really wondering, before we go to the end game of AI, okay, you are very interesting in the sense that you're in every trend. You said 15 years ago, we didn't even have smartphones. So you went through this trend, anything from ICQ to, SaaS to, I don't know, ad tech companies and automation and AI. And, and every time you seem to find, these special people. And so specifically, I know Ron Gura, but these special people that do this. And I'm wondering, is it really the landscape in technology that changes? Is it, or is it the way and method that you did diligence the entrepreneurs? And at the end of the day, it's always sport, but a different ball. Do you know what I mean? Like, do you have like a method that works and it doesn't matter what kind of technology we're talking about? And this is just like the new trend and whatever, or is it, just you being really tech savvy and having the know-hows?
Yeah, so thank you for that. Indeed, I was fortunate to go through those cycles. I was fortunate to go through two companies I built and exited. One called SmarTeam that exited before the dot-com boom and became a global leader quite early before that. We can talk about it later if you want. But the second one I sold to AOL. And indeed, experience matters in a lot of ways. But I mean, to your question, VC and investors in general, I would say, even in the financial sector, are all about pattern recognitions, okay? Are all about where is the world heading? Where is the puzzle going to be complete? What's going to be complete sooner than later, okay? I remember the days the cloud started, there's a lot of FinOps companies these days, you've seen quite a lot of them and some are very successful. I remember the first days of cloud, we met with very interesting, and eventually they became successful as well, founders building it. They didn't call it FinOps, by the way, then. It was about, let's help you analyze the cost of the cloud and how much you're using and how much you're paying. Only saw that then, and I'm talking just beginning of the cloud, we said, that makes a lot of sense. It's going to happen. But nobody's on the cloud yet. And it's going to take 5 to 10 years for people to be significantly on the cloud. And by the way, we're 15 or more years later, and still only 20% of businesses are on cloud, right? But these days it becomes significant enough. So some technologies are too early for us to invest in.
How do you know?
It's the billion-dollar question, right?
I know.
I think it boils down to a few elements. First of all, we believe founders know where the future is, okay? And I'll tell you a little secret, okay? When we started venture, first year, we saw almost every company that anybody shoot at us, okay? And I had like this, call it a board meeting with my fund's, advisory board, where I kind of shared with them the statistics and what we're doing, where we were successful and where we failed, etc. And all of them came back separately, by the way, I did this in a one-on-one, came back with a comment saying, well, you guys are seeing too many companies. How can you do that? It's too much. You need to do less. My point to them was, you're absolutely right, but that is intentional. We need to tune our sensors, okay? It's a sensor tuning procedure, okay? Everything is documented, by the way. We document who's the source that sent us the company. How do they send it? What was the background? This allows us now, within literally less than a minute, reviewing an email with a deck and the source that sent it, etc., to know if this is something to take attention quickly on, or it's a pretty lousy, opportunity.
Right. So you need a lot of companies, and you tune. Okay, the information that you're getting, you're seeing where it's headed. More people are talking about this and that. The problem. This also helps you in the due diligence, probably. And on that fact, so there's a thing. I read an article about the AI. I'm going back to what you were talking about before.
No, but wait, I have more answers on that.
You have more magic tricks. Go.
I'll let you go back to the AI. AI is fascinating, but I think you're asking about how do we choose? How do we know? So on one front, I'm talking about sensor tuning, okay, which I kind of talked about. And it's sensors on many fronts, okay? The other part is clearly, when we invest in early stage, it's all about the people, okay? It's all about the people. And as I said, my first statement was, founders know where the future is, okay? Mm-hmm. They build stuff because they want to disrupt something, because they identified an area which is due for disruption, and they're going after it, okay? And so when you see between 400 to 800 companies a year, you see the waves coming, analogy of a surfer, right? Within each wave, big wave, there could be many other smaller waves, okay? Mm-hmm. When you see those clusters of companies going after these smaller waves or bigger waves or whatever, you can choose as an investor if you believe in that wave or not. And within that wave, who are the teams that are going to be the winners? Because they have an unfair advantage, they are great in what they're doing, they're targeting a bigger market, they have a better go-to-market approach.
But wait, I gotta interrupt you, Avichai, because that sounds too oversimplified, I have to say, because I doubt that you try to identify patterns and any statistical insights based solely on the hundreds that turn to Lool Ventures, right? Like, it has to be, you probably have data analysts, and you probably sense out industries and finance publications. I don't believe that what you do is just identify waves based on what's coming on your pipeline.
Adding to that, that's what I wanted to say, by the way. I wasn't going to stop you with the magic. I was going to say, is AI helping you funnel out the hundreds of companies that are going for you?
Yeah, absolutely. You should read the post of my partner, Yaniv Golan, about that. By the way, we're very open with the founder community. We even wrote a book on how to raise your seed. It's in the signature of my email. You're free to download it, or just go to our website and search for how to raise a seed, which allows us to share how we're thinking. And one of the posts Yaniv, my partner, did was about AI and how you as a founder should prepare to us, because we are also using AI to validate things quickly and analyze things quickly. Okay. Now, listen, it's definitely not done just by looking at what we're seeing coming, but I'm saying the world has karma in it. Okay. And when stars align, they align. Okay. When stars align, you see things align between what you read, conference you go through, your own vision of where things are going, and the data that's coming at you. Okay, so it's never one single element. It's always a mix. We're all human not robots. We're not AI. We have other things we can do.
And it's also so tricky, right? Because we all know the statistics of startup success. So you have to keep trusting your hunches, but at the same time knowing that the chances are against you, and that most of the companies that you work with are probably not going to climax.
Yeah, for sure. That's part of the venture model. You assume that at least a third of your companies you're going to lose on. But then, there's others that are making up for all of those. So
a third? Did you say a third? You're losing only on a third?
Yeah, we were fortunate. If I look statistically on our
very fortunate
funds. Yeah, it's to be honest, depending on fund, it's between 30% to 45%. Okay.
In all of your career. In all of your career, how much money till now, in all the various companies that you were part of, founded, and so on and so forth, how much money did you invest till today? Like you as also a company, right? I don't mean personally.
Yeah, I mean, overall, we invested around $200 million in companies throughout the last 13 years. And companies we invested in.
Yeah, like you did 13 years, $200 million, and all of them are like seed or A?
Yeah, we do only seed. That's what we specialized in. Okay, of course.
Isn't it scary? Isn't it scary? Like everybody talks about seed and stuff like that. Like it's nothing. It's actually like for me, I like as an investor, it's the scariest because no matter what happens, the seed is like there's nothing. It's like literal presentation, some experience of maybe some very talented people. It's like, yeah, and you're saying more than half. Let's even go more than half are successful. Like how are you not scared?
Yeah. So I think, as a person, I try to tune, that element you call scare into execution, into how do we succeed, into because there's no point in sitting there and being scared, right? There's point in understanding how you win, okay? But to be honest with you, I mean, seed is such a broad world. A seed in Berlin is different than a seed in Israel and different than a seed in Silicon Valley. And I want to maybe articulate where we invest, okay, and more clearly, okay.
Yep.
I coined the word high bar seed, okay. We come also at pre-seed. Pre-seed would be more similar to what you just articulated. Strong team, they have an idea, they're testing it. We typically believe, and we're doing this. We're happy to meet founders anytime, okay? Even when they just have an idea and they want to run it by us. And it's a smart thing to do, by the way, because at the end of the day, you're going to spend the next 10 years at least of what you're going to do on this thing that hopefully is going to be successful. So you'd better, that's my way of thinking, right? Every time I built a company, in the companies that I built and exited, we were like 6 months to a year in the basement of some place building, and the process was to prove to ourselves that this is worth enough for us to spend the next 6 to 7 to 10 years on this thing, okay? It's a way of kind of convincing yourself that you have enough passion for this thing, that it's big enough, that you're running it by enough people that, a lot of people are going to say, no, not relevant, whatever, but there's enough of them that get excited about it. And mostly importantly, you're excited about it, okay? So it's okay to be scared, but are you excited about it? That's the question, okay? I mean, going backwards. So we look at the teams, and the team we like are what we call bootstrappers. Okay. So going back to what is a seed, what is a high bar seed, right?
So it's not just the deck, basically. They come to you with a business.
Not necessarily with a real business yet. It could be, for us, we want to see that they build products. Now, the product shouldn't be flashy, shouldn't be like doing everything, but it does one thing right, okay?
Like an MVP.
And they manage an MVP, and they manage to work with a few customers that are pretty excited about this thing. Now, maybe the user experience is not there yet. Maybe it doesn't do everything that they have in their vision, but it proves a pain and it proves that they could build something to attend to that pain, okay? That's where we like to come in, because we believe that bootstrappers are people that have great conviction and drive. Because essentially what they're saying, we're going to prove it to ourselves. We're going to prove it.
They have skin in the game.
And they have skin in the game. That's very important. I mean, we love people that have skin in the game. So that's our sweet spot. That's where we like to come in. Okay. Now, of course, the spectrum is wide, and we would do, anywhere from a pre-seed, like you say, an idea, great team, etc., to a high bar seed. That's the range we come in. Okay. And as I mentioned, we invest in AI native companies, but also in AI resilient companies, deep tech companies. In deep tech, sometimes it's more pre-seed, because in deep tech it takes time to get to customers. Okay, like we invested in a company called Beewise, a robotic and autonomous beehive. Amazing technology, doing pollination as a service.
I'm not sure I understand what makes a company AI resilient.
That's a great question. So AI resilient, again, Yaniv, my partner, wrote an article on Forbes about this. We coined the term AI resilient.
You're doing good marketing.
It's important. Again, as I said, it's not about marketing. It's about communicating with our audience, which is founders.
Actually, great definition. It's very important. I want to hear about it.
Yeah, and so as I mentioned, we wrote the book How to Raise a Seed. We do a lot of content event on our rooftop here, because we believe that by giving value to the founder community, we benefit. Okay, what's AI resilient? Okay, as I mentioned, AI is moving at the speed of light, right? Every other week, there's an announcement that potentially washes away a dozen companies. Okay, in other words, the new feature that OpenAI just released, and you can see that, for instance, in the coding space. The Claude is actually better than some of the other players that are solely focused on AI coding, right? In many aspects, and it's gaining a lot of momentum. Okay, it's a threat, it's an opportunity, it's also a threat. In other words, AI resilience are those companies that are benefiting from AI, but are not going to be washed away
by GPT-6.
By GPT-6, or just a feature of, like somebody opening the ability to do skills and automate skills on OpenAI and Gemini and whatever. There were a bunch of companies, two leading ones, that were doing those automations. Now, it doesn't mean they're going to be dead, if they continue to be better in what they're doing, but it's a threat. There's definitely a certain population that's going to use what's available by the platform technology. Now, when you look at example, what's a deep tech company? Let me give you a couple of examples. I think it's going to, make it vivid. Okay, we invested in a company called Neologic, which does next generation semiconductor design. Right? Everybody's talking about the energy efficiency of chipset. Right? Data centers are hogging a lot of demand for electricity. They have a very unique technology that solves for that. Okay, it's not going to be affected by AI. Okay, it's a lot of deep tech. It's a lot of patents in semiconductor layers level. Okay, we invest in a company called Chiral Energy. They invented, two professors out of the University of Jerusalem and the Weizmann University institution developed this material that when you coat batteries, it improves capacity by 20-30%. Wow. By coating electrolyzers, which are the machines that make hydrogen. Hydrogen price right now, there's a parity price. The price has to go down by 60 to 70% for hydrogen to become widely used. Okay, it's still too expensive, right? There's abundance of water on Earth. You know how you make hydrogen? You separate water to H2O, right? Oxygen and hydrogen. That technology improves the efficiency of those devices by 60 to 70%. So it actually opens up a new uncapped market of energy. It's not going to be affected by a new feature on OpenAI. Beewise, I mentioned earlier, robotic and autonomous beehives. Yes, they're using AI their robot checks on the bees every hour. How they're doing? Are there any viruses? Is the little white dot on the tail of the bee would be a sign for one virus? The way she moves, it moves, would be another virus. They have a hospital inside that robot where they spray the medication. The result, mortality goes down to zero. Pollination coverages, increase dramatically, and the company's rocking. Okay, not going to be affected by a new feature of AI. So
it actually means that in SWAT, the threat is very low.
Yeah.
And Avichai, This is a more recent chapter in your journey. Let's talk about previous ones, past ones. When you started your entrepreneurial journey, because you're investing from a position of experience and actually, being on the other side too. That has to hold merit. So let's talk about how you started the entrepreneurial journey.
Yeah, so I was working for a tech company in Ranana, where the company was in a space called PDM, Product Data Management, for industrial companies. And
What year are we?
96.
96. Amazing.
Was that your first job?
It wasn't my first job. I worked for that company. I moved to the US on behalf of that company to represent them there. And then I came back. The company had two product lines. One was the one I went through to the US. The second one, when I came back, we were trying to take let's call it a customized service software business and make it, productize it. Okay. In other words, spaghetti codes that was reused for each customer and recoded again and again, which is totally unsustainable. And I had the vision that the world is changing, and it's going to be more and more ubiquitous to manage data on a PC rather than workstations and graphical workstation, etc. And I went to the CEO to this very day. I, by the way, have the presentation I prepared, 5 pages, saying this is wrong. We cannot be successful with this spaghetti software and reselling it again to every customer. And spaghetti code is going to kill you eventually. After the 5th customer, you're going to not be able to maintain that, because fixing bugs is an issue. You know how it is. And we got to productize this, and we got to do it on a totally different platform. And here's the strategy. He said to me, you have the right vision. I'm not going to do it. I don't have the money. I'm actually selling the company.
How old were you?
I don't know. I was 25 or something.
And did you plan on staying corporate at that stage?
No. I always knew I would be. I always knew I had this passion. I decided to leave together with a friend and a partner in that company. And we built a company called SmarTeam, which had a vision of not just data management, but product lifecycle management. In other words, managing all product-related information that the company manages across its bill of material. So every company around that has a product, like a car, is a bill of material. In a way, it's like a car, engine, piston, down to the bolt. It's a big tree. A car would have tens of thousands of parts. Each part like this would have requirements documents, specification documents, 3D models, 2D models, electronic scheme drawings. You can imagine how much data you have. Each of these have many versions and variations. Every company is like this, like Toyota would work with a supply chain. So I'm increasing the complexity now that the entire development process is running over the web with other players that are part of the development process. Essentially what we did was an over-glorified document management and workflow system, to be honest, but it was specialized for a specific industry: electronics, discrete manufacturing, automotive supply chain, and aerospace supply chain. We chose a very unique way in terms of go-to-market. We wanted to be big. We wanted to be global. We didn't have enough money. And we knew that, to recruit a lot of salespeople to be a global player, you're going to need a lot of money. We chose an approach of a reseller network, which was quite unique, and still to this very day is quite unique. We recruited about 200 resellers within 2 years. Every reseller like this is not on your payroll. They have an interest to sell your software. They get a margin. They get commission, but they're not on your payroll. But suddenly what happens is that you have hundreds of salespeople working for you, working for them, but essentially they're working for you, right?
There is so much to unpack here, though. Wait. There's so much, because you speak about this in such clarity, but at the end of the day, you were 25, you had zero entrepreneurial experience to that stage, right? And yet you're coming up with all these out of the box ideas of how to make this happen. You had the confidence also to go to your boss and try to make it as an entrepreneur. He's probably really regretting that decision. But I'm trying to understand your mindset and trying to understand, what happened in those 5 years, because it sounds like, the entrepreneurial bug was like very strong within you based on what you're saying, but you were waiting. So were you waiting for an idea or for what? And then when you did take that deep dive, how did you know? Like you couldn't have been that strategized and with such clarity and confidence as maybe it seems in retrospect. Like, how did you bridge all these inexperiences and gaps that you obviously had and didn't have, and skills that you didn't have enough of in your toolkit at that stage?
Yeah, it's a great question. You don't know, but you have something burning inside. Okay. You look at something you've been doing in the last couple of years, you see what's failing, what's not succeeding. You build your own vision of what could be the right way. For instance, spaghetti code, projects per customer, a lot of services rather than selling off-the-shelf products. It's not going to scale, right? How do you scale that? But in a world where customers need to adapt and change the product, because it's not one size fits all, right? Everybody wants to have their own adaptation to the way their process works.
No, but wait, I understand. And I feel like you shift to the solution because that's your clarity. But the execution, that's not intuitive to most people. So I understand what enabled you to gain the clarity that you needed, but how do you ground that without any experience? How do you even recruit so many resellers and just suddenly turn this into a reality out of thin air?
So listen, you don't know. Again, you don't. You have something burning in you, and you have passion. And to be honest, you're naive, maybe even stupid. Okay. But what I believe in is that you need to talk to people. You need to, share with people. You need to see how they react to what you're doing. Okay. So you have this crazy, stuff, and you say, all these companies are doing this way. I want to do it another way, and what do you think about it? And, some people will tell you you're crazy. It's never going to work. This is the core IP of a company, all the data that I was talking about for a company like Toyota. Every company does product, all these drawing and schematics and software, and it's their IP. Why would they, count on you to manage this? And yes, you get a lot of no's, but eventually you manage to find those early adopters. You get hundreds no's, and then you get one yes, and they want to try it. Okay.
And what do you tell yourself until you get that yes? How does it not make you want to just, do something else?
So what I aspire about founders, really, I mean, you ask what's the characteristic of a founder, because this journey is crazy, okay? It's totally crazy. It's about disappointment almost every day. A lot of spikes of great happiness and success, but a lot of legworking and disappointments on the way. And that's why you need tenacity, you need resilience, you need to believe, and you need to not get depressed when things are not working as you expect. And that's what we also seek in founders we invest in.
Is it hard for you to be passive as an investor? Like, I would think to myself, if I invested in companies, one of the hardest things would be is seeing so many things successful, knowing the answers, and just sitting side, knowing that you can advise, but you can't really control.
This is a really great question, and you're touching a nerve here that you could ask me, explain your journey from a founder to an investor. What were the most challenges in your way? And this is one of the biggest challenges that is acknowledged. It's acknowledged very early on, okay, by us. Okay, I can tell you that the first year as investors again was tough, because it's like you have great founders. They're going to hit a wall. You see the wall. You tell them there's a wall. You tell them there's a way to go around it. Some of them don't listen to you. And it's like sitting in a car next to a driver, and you can't put your hands on the wheel.
It's like that movie, The Sixth Sense, when he's seeing everything and they're not seeing him and hearing him.
Absolutely.
For me, it reminds me of parenting. You know what I mean? Like, my dad would say, stretch before you do sports. I'm like, Dad, come on, man. And, like 20 years later, I don't have a back. You know what I mean? Like, it's a position. It's really hard to be like passive consulting. And, you also have your own clients or your own investors that you have to reach, and it's so you just have to you just see it go by, like or or are there a lot of people that you invested in that are recurring?
Yes, indeed. But to your point, you're right. It's like kids as well, and you got to let them to make their own decisions at the end of the day. Okay. And one of the biggest mistakes we did in the first investments we did, which at least one or two of them created like a bit of a conflict, that we went over, is because of that. Because you need some humility as investors. You don't run the show. You're at best an advisor, if at all. Okay.
Right.
Now we have great relationship with the people we invest in. We have very intimate relationship, a very helpful relationship, whether it's 24/7 WhatsApp, a bi-weekly meeting, we're available. But the point is you learn that you have to be an advisor and part psychologist. And I don't claim to have any education in this space, to be honest, but that's what you learn you have to be, rather than a commander. Okay. We come in Israel here from a legacy of military background, all of us. You're not a commander. You're not running the show. You're not running the company. And it requires a piece of humility, because, obviously we're all A-type personalities in this game, in this roller coaster game. Everybody knows what they want. Everybody knows and thinks what should be done, So
right.
This is the biggest challenge ever, in my view, for an entrepreneur turning into an investor.
And did you have, when you were the entrepreneur, did you have those people that gave you good advice?
To be honest, in the second company that I sold to AOL, I had. In the first, I didn't. And I don't want to sound cocky, but I think it's super important. And I wish I had somebody like me, advising me in these journeys. And again, it's not coming from a cocky or a bullish or a vain.
No, it's even just your version of you now.
Yeah, I mean, there's better versions of me even now, and whatever. It's not about better. It's just another opinion. It's just somebody that's been there, just somebody that can be there in the tough times, and give you the advice and challenge you and ask the right questions. Yeah, for sure.
And why didn't you take the leap before to become an entrepreneur, not to become an investor?
Well, listen, I did this quite quickly. I mean, I did this at a very early age. I did believe that I need to learn something. I need to experience the journey. There's a philosophical belief that I had. To be honest, I interviewed those days, and still today, I mean, there's companies that are well known in Israel that had a very rigorous tech company. I'm not going to mention the name; it doesn't matter. But they're still very big today. That had a very rigorous, interviewing process, and I went through the process, and I had a coding test, and it took like 3 months to interview in this company, and I got a job offer, and it was very prestigious to be working for that kind of company. I remember going to my parents, and they're like, "Yeah, for sure, go for that." And I chose to go with this stupid startup in Ra'anana, which was a great experience because I felt that in this big company, I'm not going to experience the journey and the meaning of building something, of being in the trenches, okay? It's like being a small screw in a big machine rather than being one of those screws that makes the machine move.
How did your parents take it?
Yeah, they relied on my assessment.
Did they encourage you, as a child, to do your own thing, or are you more from a corporate type of environment? Like, what were you encouraged to do?
I think my parents supported me in everything I did. So, I mean, they didn't encourage me one way or another. They did encourage me to go and study computer science, because they saw the future, I guess, those days. But other than that, there was no. I mean, My parents were middle class, schirim, working for big companies, one government company and one tech company.
So they're not the ones that planted the seed of wanting to build your own thing, I suppose.
But you are a person who knows about trends. Like I think you smelt the trend in '96 and you knew where to go. Like I think this is something that it's. I hear it again and again in your story. You're sort of like a person who knows how to research and find trends. Isn't that true?
Yeah, I mean, remember, yes, in hindsight, it's easy to talk about it, like you say, and it sounds very romantic. In reality, it's stars aligning. It's like, thinking about the right thing at the right timing, meeting the right people, taking the plunge into living a very secure job and knowing that you're not going to have a salary for the next year because, you're going to start building it and trying to find the first customers, etc. And by some chance, things happen, and it does succeed. In many cases, it doesn't.
I think there's a lot of humility in what you're saying. I think Malcolm Gladwell in the book Outliers, he would label intuition as experience. So, of course, I think both Renan and I agree that luck is always a component, but luck is also about being able to act upon what you identify and knowing what to act on in the first place. So, it's a puzzle and it's a complex one. And I think those who are in tune with what they want to achieve, but also agile about it and are able to make analytical decisions and also gut, then that's probably part of the formula. Like, I don't believe it just it never lands on you, does it? But it sometimes feels that way when you're attuned.
Absolutely. I think there's one brand, I'm not going to mention the name, that says just do it. So
you can mention the name, it's fine. No, we're not sponsored by Nike.
No, but like you said, acting, just doing it, jumping to the water. And to be honest, even my second journey as entrepreneur, I didn't stay within the same space. I have this belief that as a person, you have to learn something new every few years. I started welding, by the way, 4 or 5 years ago. I'm welding projects, metal, iron. I built a smoker. This is another area because, you need to train your brain to do other things rather than sitting in front of Excel spreadsheet technology and computer all day.
And very old school, like something that you can feel.
Something that you need to do with your hands that makes an impact, okay? That's my belief, but, a few years back, I started learning playing the piano, and I'm still playing. I don't even know how I do it, but I do play. Anyhow, so no, what I'm trying to say is that my philosophy also in the tech journey was, listen, I sold the company to Dassault Systèmes. It was a quick journey. We started companies, I said, 96, 7. We sold it end of 99, a minute before the tech bubble. We were a great company, great success. We, revenues and everything, but we wouldn't have survived, in my belief, that crisis if we haven't sold the company a minute before the bubble burst. Okay, but I stayed there until 2006 in a journey with rest of the team, growing the company to tens of thousands of customers. Follow the sun operation from Japan, customers like Toyota, Daikin, the big air conditioning company, all the way to Boeing in the west coast of the United States. Okay, a great journey, great operation, a lot of learnings. Did almost every possible job from coding initially to product to sales to marketing to running to everything.
Great experience.
Quite an experience. But when I left, my partner Yaniv Golan was VP R&D CTO. He decided to leave. I said, let's meet in a couple of months. He did like his post-army trip kind of a thing, left for a trip for 3 months. I said, come back and let's talk. We talked, decided to go at it, left. And the journey we did with Yedda, which was a social web, social search, the era of the social web emerging, with Instagram, Facebook, all these companies kicking, everybody else growing exponentially. We did Yedda, which was a Q&A, social search kind of a platform that we sold to AOL a couple of years later, okay? Which also was a quick flip. But that was a totally different domain. I could have said, I have an unfair advantage in that domain, PLM. I mean, I knew what needs to be done for the next phase. Every 6 to 10 years, then there's like everything is rebuilt on the new platform, on every technology in every space. It didn't excite me. And, also, it's not just didn't excite you. The journey, as much as it was successful, was also painful. There was a lot of hard work, okay? So people think that because you did a company in this space, you now have affinity for this space and you want to further invest in the space. I'm not sure. I want to get excited about other things, okay? So I got excited with what we had in mind, and we decided to do it. And we had to relearn everything, and move from a enterprise software B2B kind of a thing to a full consumer experience, okay?
So check on learning new things.
Exactly. But again, it's a philosophical thing. Some other people will say, I want to...
Hey, it's working, right?
Yeah, I don't know. As I said, some humility. It's a lot of luck as well. But yeah, I think, as I said, naivety is also part of success, because you have to be naive enough to believe that you're strong enough to do something that you don't have experience in, okay? But the naivety helps you shine areas in this new domain that other people would typically not even pay attention to.
Or already cynical to, or you're not believers at that stage. Like you come with a fresh look.
Exactly. A fresh thought is always, welcome, and always opens up a new direction.
What would you say your superpower is?
Superpowers. It's a big word. I think it's about pattern recognition, both on people and in areas. And I think it's about not letting go, not quitting. Also, the venture as a VC, it's not easy.
Of course.
It's a roller coaster on steroids. It's not one company, it's 30.
Yeah, and a lot of stress.
So I think not quitting, focus, and
Patterns.
is also a power. Patterns and tenacity.
And what about your kryptonite, your weakness?
Yeah, I think I take too hard sometimes. And, we're all human. So I try to fight this thing about falling in love with technology. Yeah, you gotta separate falling in love with technology to, is it a good investment? And that's a practice that we keep working on.
And also, and with you, there's also probably with most investors when it's healthy, but I think it stands out with you that it's complicated because you also fall in love with the people.
Yes, indeed. You fall in love with the people. You gotta mix between cold decisions and being a person. You're not cold-hearted. And you gotta learn to mix those two and manage them in a clear way.
And so it's good that you have the pattern recognition aspect, because you're able to set on internal alerts when a pattern is now pointing in a direction where you have to tune down the heart and listen to code logic sometimes.
Yeah, I guess indeed.
Avichai, thank you so much for doing this. We wish for you that your success rates continue and maybe even grow, although that is such impressive conversion rates for your startups in general and success rates. So you keep at it.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thanks, Avichai.
That's all for today's episode. We hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please consider subscribing to our podcast so you never miss an episode. Also, if you have a moment, we would really appreciate it if you could rate and review our podcast on the platform you're listening to. This will help others find our show. And as always, if you know anyone who you think would enjoy our podcast, please share it with them. Thank you so much for listening. We'll be back as usual on the 1st of the month.
Real life.
Superpowers.
Up in the sky, it's a bird.
Gentlemen, we can rebuild him. We have the technology.
It's alive!
Real life.
Superpowers.